Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend and are ready to face this week. Today I'd like to broach a subject that's a little bit tough, actually. I've noticed a trend in our Christian society, especially of people my age and maybe a little younger, that they, as a Christian, have no problem using profanity and even using God's name in vain and Jesus Christ. And I just think it's just something that we really need to pay attention to, because our words hold weight. The Bible is very clear that we need to be cautious of the words that we use, and that there's power in the tongue. And I was just, I've had this discussion with some people, and I've heard the argument, you're just taking it as profanity. Well, you know what? Maybe we're having problems defining profanity, but the world has no problem defining profanity. They can rate a movie based on profanity because they understand exactly what profanity is, right? And also, you can make that argument. It's the way I take it. Well, our words have weight and our words have meaning. You can go to the dictionary and you can look up what something means. It's just like if I were to say, I hate you. Could I say, well, you're just offended because you're taking the word that way? No, that's what the word means, right? So I'm want to debunk that argument. It doesn't hold any weight, because, if the world can define it, we sure can define it as Christians. And as far as addressing the using Jesus Christ and God, this is a holy name. This is Jesus Christ who went to the cross for us. Why do we have the right to take his name in vain? And the Bible is very clear. In Deuteronomy 5:11, it says, "You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain." So I think that one's pretty cut and dry. And maybe we've unintentionally gotten that habit because we're around people who use it all the time. But I think we need to be very cautious. The Bible calls us to be set apart, and we really need to be doing that. And when a non-Christian looks at us and says, you know what, they don't act any different than I do, then where's our witness? Where's our testimony? Are we being a stumbling block for somebody else, or are we helping somebody else? Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." And that's just kind of reiterates what I said. There is power in our words and a power in what we say. In Matthew 15:11, it says, "Hear and understand, it is not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of the mouth that defiles the person." So we need to be very cautious about the things that come out of our mouth. And this includes other things like gossip and slander, right? We need to be very cautious about the things that leave our mouth. In Romans 12:2, it says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God and what is good, acceptable, and perfect." If you're struggling with this, if you're not sure that I'm making a good case for this, then seek the will of God. He will show you. He will show you. If you go to him, he will convict you of the things that are keeping you, hindering your relationship and your walk with him, and maybe even your witness. Ephesians 4:29 says, "Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such that is good for building up as it fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear." When I'm cursing, or when I'm using words just like the world does it, am I building somebody up? Am I offering them grace? Is it doing something beneficial to them? Is it holy? We just really need to be conscious of that. In Ephesians 5:3-4, it says, "But sexual immorality and impurity or covetousness must not be named among you, as it is proper among saints. Let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place, but instead let there be thanksgiving." So that kind of addresses the dirty jokes as well, right? No crude talk, no no crude joking. It's telling us what's expected of us. Let's go to Colossians, and there's a lot of scripture on this. I'm just kind of hitting the ones that I felt like really spoke to me. In Colossians 4:6, it says, "Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person." So if we're in a mode where we're constantly cursing and not uplifting God, that is not full of grace. There's nothing about cursing that is gracious, and God calls our words to be gracious. In James 1:26, it says, "If anyone thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his heart, this person's religion is worthless. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unstained from the world." When we're using curse words and when we're using the Lord's name in vain, we look no different than the world. And I honestly believe that just damages our witness. Everything we say and do has just gone out the door because of the way we're talking and the way we're operating. James 4-11 I thought this was a good passage. It said, "Look at the ships also. Though they are so large, they are driven by strong winds. They are guided by a very small rudder, wherever the will of the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts great things. How great a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire, and the tongue is a fire, a world of unrighteousness. The tongue is set among your members, staining the whole body, setting on fire the entire course of life, and set on fire by hell. For every kind of beast and bird and reptile, sea creature can be tamed and has been tamed by mankind, but no human being can tame the tongue. It is restless evil, full of deadly poison. With it we bless the Lord and the Father. With it we curse people who are made in the likeness of God." This verse is the one I just carry with me. "From the same mouth come blessing and cursing, my brothers. These things ought not to be so. Does a spring pour forth the same opening from fresh and salt water? Can a fig tree, my brother, bear olives, or a grapevine produce figs? Neither can a salt pond yield fresh water." And I want to go back to that. "From the same mouth comes blessing and cursing. My brothers, these things ought not be so." And I'll wrap up with 1 Peter 3:10. And it says, "For whoever desires to love life and see good days, let him keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit." And I just encourage you, to give a thought when you're speaking. And I'm not only just talking cursing and using the name of God. Maybe this is not a problem for you. But also, be careful of our gossip, and be careful that we're edifying people and we're building people up. I know that is something I really have to be very conscious of, because it's easy to get caught up in the moment and just, and jump on the bandwagon and when somebody's done you wrong or somebody's doing something that you don't agree with. And I just encourage you to be cautious and let everything that coming out of your mouth be edifying and uplifting to others. I pray that you have a blessed day. I hope I haven't stepped on too many toes, and that you keep fighting the good fight and representing Christ well.